Hello, welcome to part 2 of the Galvantula show. Well, okay. Um, I promised a second part to the recordings. Last night I posted a team with Galvantula, Skarmory and Whiscash. Today I'm doing something slightly different. We've got Galarian Stunfisk, we've got Galvantula, and we've got Shadow Machamp. Shadow Machamp with close combat. It's a bit of a diversion from the normal recommendation of cross chop. And I can't say I actually have any strong reason for that, apart from the fact that I just love flattening things with the close combat. It's probably not as useful in general. It's just sometimes the scenarios come up, and that makes me happy. That's why I use it. The goal of this team generally is that, well, actually an awful lot of people are now leading Galvantulas, so the Galarian Stunfisk does amazingly well there, forces them to switch out. And a reasonable fraction of the time, they're switching out to Azumarill instead as their safe swap, which obviously is great for this team, So you might well see that in these matches coming up, but I'm not going to give you too much spiel because I've already done that in my previous video about why Galvantula is quite so good. Right, we're in rank 5 at the moment. I've recorded this set for a couple of days, so you'll have seen rank 6 last night. And right, start with Jirachi. Nice good lead up here because it's vulnerable to the ground damage. In comes Cresselia. I don't see those too often, but they are quite a potent force. I think they're mostly just because they're expensive. We let the move land because Galvantula is squishy, and then we switch and we go for the lunges. Lunge is super effective against Cresselia, so it tears it apart. We can probably take a hit from a Grass Knot and Moonblast, but as you can see, it takes a big chunk off. We're going for another lunge. Hopefully, we can get a shield off them this time and get into a shield lead position. No, but that's okay. We've taken down Cresselia and we've still got some health left. And out comes Obstagoon. Lunge is also super effective against Obstagoon, which is good for us. And there comes the shield. Okay, that's okay. That's okay because we've got the Shadow Machamp in the back, and Obstagoon really doesn't like those. So I'm going to expect them to go for a switch. Oh no, they're going to fire a move. Well, that's okay. That gives us a bit more energy. Night Slash, it wouldn't have hurt too much, but it does do a noticeable amount. And that close combat I was talking about. Well, they're going to shield this. They'd be daft not to, but that would have finished the job. We go back to the Earthquake, and we'll just rush to another Earthquake. No, there we go. And Obstagoon comes out. They concede. Game over. Next match out, we're going to be leading the Gunfisk into a Shadow Swampert. Shadow Swampert is an interesting one. It's very frail, but it hits very hard. So in this scenario, it's hit super effective, and I let the move land and bring out the Shadow Machamp. Probably misplay on my part because now I'm going to be having shielding Hydro Cannons, but I am building up the Rock Slide, which I'm going to drop on their Galvantula. One of the reasons I like Machamp particularly is because the combination of fighting and rock does so very well against a lot of things. But not today. There we go. But we can bring the ground type out again and throw rocks at the spider, so that's okay, and super effective. That goes down. Now it comes the Swampert again. We've got a bit more energy, so hopefully we can push a shield out to them. There we go. And shields down, but they get to the Hydro Cannon first, and that's super effective. That will put us out to play. And now we've got a bit of a tough fight of Galvantula versus Skarmory, which is not as bad as it sounds because they've got no shields and we have super effective damage. But the flying damage will still cause us some problems, and this is probably Sky Attacking coming now, and it will take a big chunk off us. I don't think this is going to be a winner, but well, no. Maybe if we got to that last move, it was close enough that we'd maybe be able to finish the job. But good game to my opponent. A Bomber Snow doesn't like the rock damage from Galarian Stunfisk, so I expect them to switch, but they will be doing ice damage in return, which is neutral. We're not going to shield this, we're going to let it land because, as I say, it does neutral. And we can trade rock slides with them, and there we go. That does a huge amount to them. They can't afford to let another one of those land. So where the ball coming in? There we go. And rock slide in return. Lovely switch my opponent into an Azumarill, so that's going to catch the rock slide. But that's okay because we've got Galvantula waiting for them. Om nom nom goes the spider. And we'll throw a discharge in their face and see if they want to shield today. Because that health level, discharge will finish the job. We shield them because any move will hurt and carry on. This time we farm down. Don't quite make it, so they get another shield off us. Now we're down 2 shields, we're down 1 shield, but we do have the energy lead, and we do have a a move that will finish off a Bomb of Snow if it lands. We've got 2 loaded, so that'll do quite nicely. There we go. There goes a Bomb of Snow, and out comes Raichu. Now, that's a bit challenging. We didn't quite get to the move, and this should be resisted, but, well, it's a Grass Knot, and it had low health, so even if it had resisted a Wild Charge, we'd be in trouble. Got no shields left, so there goes the Machamp. Very fragile, that, so, yeah. Well done, my opponent, and we'll move on to the next match. Stunfisk leading Galvantula. Galvantulas don't like Stunfisks, so we prompt a swap into Hypno. We bring out our own Galvantula. It does super effective against Hypno. It's quite a tight match, this one, because the confusion damage does add up, especially if they've got Fire Punch. So you do need to shield, and they've got Fire Punch. So we're going to go for it. We're going to see if they want to go down 2 shields and match us with shields. We're debuffing them as we go, and no, they didn't want to stay in. So that's okay. Out comes their Galvantula. Hopefully we can get a lunge off, and there we go. We're going to drop the lunge on them if they shield this. They do, but they're now debuffed, so we can bring in the Stunfisk again, and I've just made a misplay here. I should have stayed in with that one, but Shadow Machamp is going to go after the Azumarill. We're going to try and push for a Rock Slide. That should get some damage off them. I mean, Rock Slide doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's got a lot of power behind it, and I don't know what they were thinking. They could have probably hit us with that, but they were looking like they were farming us. Big mistake on their part. Off comes the Shadow Machamp, and there goes the Rock Slide again, and that's a good game. Goodbye, Galvantula. People do underestimate that Machamp. It is a terror. As you can see, my opponent, I think, was trying to farm it. They really should have thrown that move, because the second Rock Slide was enough to finish the job. Skarmory, this is a good matchup for us again, and out comes the Azumarill again. So, hello, Mr. Galvantula. You've seen this before. The only real variance is whether they're play roughing or ice beaming, really. And you can put a lot of pressure on with the discharges. We can farm down from this point, so probably going to try that. Does mean we'll spend a shield to get the energy lead, but that's okay. We have energy. That's always worth the trade. Down 2 shields now. Bit of sticky place to play, but again, we've got 2 discharges loaded and an electric vulnerable thing in front of us. So they didn't shield. I kind of expected them to, but, well, so it goes. There we go, discharge, and now they've got a Machamp left. That's a bit of a nuisance. We're going to go bring out the Galarian Stunfisk, take super effective from fighting, and we're going to throw rocks at the Machamp. Rock Slide doesn't do very much. Even a Shadow doesn't take too much damage from it, as you can see. And that finishes off with Cross Drop. They've got 2 shields, so there's no point going for a charge move, but we do a lot of damage to them in return, and we have more health, so we won that one. As I said, we're in rank 6 with this one. Again, Galarian Stunfisk into Galvantula. This one I've seen a lot over the last couple of days. A lot of people trying out the new spider and enjoying it. And an Azumarill switch. Hello, here comes Galvantula again. There we go. This one plays out the same as before. The only real question is how much shield they spend in the process. Loading up to a double discharge, because if we're lucky they'll shield it and then we'll be able to finish them off like that. It's quite often that people will sort of miscount your moves and not realise you have 2 loaded. There, Galvantula comes into us, lunges, finishes off. But that's okay, because we've got Rock Slides loaded. They didn't want to face this last time, they probably don't want to face this time, because look at that, that's just almost one shot at it. And Shiftry. Well, that's okay. Machamp in the back will do quite nicely against Shiftry, thank you very much. And we've got a shield. Actually, the Leaf Blade does a lot of damage to Machamp even so it's hard to say whether that would have actually survived it without the shield. That's how fragile Machamp is. And another match coming up. We've got Stunfisk and Galvantula again. Like I say, saw this a lot. You know, you can make your own commentary for this one. You know what's happening next. Azumarill will do its thing, Galvantula will do its thing. Just for comedy value, maybe I'll try for a lunge at some point and just see if I can debuff it instead. This time I was trying to go for a bit more of an aggressive farm and get its health low before using even the first one. I figured that might encourage them not to shield. So they bring out the fire type Alolan Marowak. That's quite a threat to this team because it does super effective to 2 of them and resists the 3rd. But I do still have the rock damage, and actually Discharge does quite a lot to it even so. So they farmed us down, they've got a bit of an energy lead. So we bring the Stunfisk and we throw a Rock Slide at it. And it can't afford to take a Rock Slide, they switch out to Galvantula again. I'm not quite sure why, because they didn't like this matchup up earlier, and it's not got any better now. But so it goes. We've got Rock Slides coming through, building up to 2 of those. We can afford to take a Lunge or a Discharge, doesn't really matter, we resist both. They do debuff us, so perhaps we shouldn't have saved them both, but it does mean we come into it with an energy lead, and we can now farm down and get 2 Rock Slides loaded up, and throw them at the Marowak. They had a move loaded, it was Bone Club, but Bone Club, despite being super effective, still doesn't do very much. It's a great bait move, it's just not a great move in general. But so we're going to the second one and finish us off. This is going to be tough because we've got a resisted counter damage versus a Ghost, but we get to our Rock Slide in time, and that'll be a good game. Thank you very much. Again, back row Shadow Machamp has saved me on many an occasion. Fairly short and sweet, I hope. I hope you enjoyed that. This is just a team I've been trying just to break up the Whiscash Skarmory repairing. I think a lot of people have caught on to that one. It's quite a... I think it's a fairly obvious choice. It's a fairly good choice. This one's just a bit more unusual. The weaknesses of it really are if they've got a back row Charmer. Neither Galvantula nor Machamp will really cope with that very well. A back row Fighter is not such a nuisance because Galvantula will deal with it. Likewise with an Azumarill. So it's got quite a good rounded coverage. You know the core threats to Shadow Machamp are really the fast movers like Hypno, like Charmers in general, and Galvantula generally does okay against those, but it doesn't have a lot of endurance, so it does get taken down even by things like a Shadow Victory Bell or a Hypno, which it should do well against, but it's just not very tough. So it's a double glass cannon problem. Even so, I've had a reasonably good success rate with this. I'm probably going to carry on using it, although I'll yet again get distracted by playing another silly team and maybe record that for you. Have a nice day, everyone.